Okay guys, it's happening. They have called and asked for my blood. Am I nervous? Yes. Do I think I'll pass out? It is possible. But we are gonna do this. This old positive blood is needed after all. So I'm just getting some teachings ready I need to do this morning for our Equipping to Serve program. And then let me do that. Run to another quick meeting, and then at 10 go down and donate a unit of blood, and hopefully it goes well and I can walk out of there rather than being carried out on a stretcher. I'm really excited because I'll get to learn about the patient that I get to donate blood to, and it will be really great. I'm just a wee bit nervous, to use Graham's Scottish phrase. I swear it's always when you're in a hurry that freaking Microsoft and Teams and all this is like, I'm sorry, you need to re-sign in and authenticate and we don't trust you anymore. And you're like, I just need to print something. You think living on the ship is some great adventure. And 2 days of the week, maybe we're out in the jungles while hiking, swimming, doing all this cool stuff. The rest of the days of the week, if you're in a non-medical job, even if you're in a medical job, you're most likely wrestling with Navigator, Teams, Authenticator, Microsoft. This is most likely what you're really doing. Oh. It's time to go donate blood. So sadly, they stuck me in both arms, but my veins were uncooperative. They did a great job, but my veins didn't want to come out to play. So no blood donation this time, but maybe I'll try again next time. Hey everyone, I have a special interview for us today. I'm interviewing Luigi Grosso, who is an Italian-American who's been living in Munich for the last 40 years. And I met him in January when he first arrived on board, and I happened to be walking by your table and we had lunch together, and I just heard a bit of your story and wanted to hear more because I think it's a fascinating one. So welcome, why don't you spend some time introducing yourself to the lovely people?
So I was born in the Boston area. I spent most of my childhood working in my parents, my father and mother's restaurant. I was always a very driven child and going into adult. So when I felt that I believed in something, I really went for it. And that was one of my driving forces throughout my entire career and life now after retirement. I began in professional career in 1975 in the ski industry, which was an interesting opportunity to work all around the world and spend time skiing a lot, which was great. And in 1982, I was recruited by the Timberland Company to be the first managing director in Europe.
Wow.
After Timberland, I continued to hold various executive positions in the sports and outdoor industry until 2006, when I began my own company. My company focused on the supply chain sustainability from factory to consumer and the impact that had on the environment. So I was in a field that was actually emerging at the time. We work with shoe companies like Jayhawks, Puma, Lotto, Oslo, and we help them to reduce their impact on the environment and reduce greenhouse gases.
Just such important work, and doing it before it was even really well known, like you said.
Right.
And I'm curious, you had this huge career. How did you end up here on this ship in Sierra Leone, West Africa?
Yeah, that's a journey. That's a journey. So the journey began about 10 years prior to me actually retiring. And I had a short conversation with my dad. He was almost 90 at the time. Wow. And he said to me, are you ready for retirement? And at the time, I hadn't even thought about it. And I said, why are you asking me? And he said, well, have a plan. And he said, not only have a plan, but do something you're going to like. Yeah. Because if you do something you like, you'll continue to do it for a long time. So fast forward 5 years, and I decided that I should sell my company. So I've been used to formulating corporate strategies, which are based upon the organization to win. Now I had to come up with a life strategy, which was a totally different, something I'd never thought about before in my entire career.
Yeah.
How do I figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? I looked at many different global causes. One day I was searching on the net and I came across Global Mercy.
Oh, yeah.
And I made a small donation.
It's very
Well, next thing I know, I start getting mail. And I got invited to the inauguration of this ship in Rotterdam.
where my parents were and you didn't even realize.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
That's so
Sorry
cool.
about that.
No, that's okay.
So I said to my wife, I said, let's go to Rotterdam for the weekend.
Yeah.
I came back and I said, this makes a lot of sense. And the reason why it made sense is because my dad was in the Italian Navy.
Wow.
And his ship sailed in the North African area for part of the war and then went to America. So that's how it came about.
Wow. It's like a full circle narrative
Right.
where your parents took the ship and now you're taking a ship. Obviously, your family's back home in Germany, and this is a big commitment to come out here for several months after just finishing a very intense time of your life and your career and show up here. And what has it been like since coming here?
Well, that's a bit different.
We're here for it.
Yeah, I admit it was a rough time, actually. First couple days go by and I'm thinking, am I in the right place? Is this for me? I'd never been on a ship before. I'd never been in this environment before, a hospital ship.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think I'm going to be able to handle this for 3 months.
Yeah.
So on Thursday morning, I met someone on the ship. And she said to me, I told her I was going back. I was thinking of going back. And she says, give it a couple of weeks. And I thought to myself, I said, a couple of weeks? That's a long time.
Feels like forever when you're here.
And I thought to myself, I've been in business for so long, had executive positions, leadership positions, and oftentimes a person goes into a company and they are not sure they made the right choice. And oftentimes you're told to give it some time. So I used that example and I said, yes, give it some time.
Give it some time, let's see. Yeah. And so you did.
And then what clicked was there's a celebration of sight on the ship, and usually every other Friday it is, where the people that have been given the gift of sight come to this celebration.
Yeah.
And frankly speaking, that blew me away.
It's powerful.
Yeah. That was something that you can't express to anyone.
Yeah. And I can see how much meaning it held for you.
Yeah.
What was most meaningful about it?
Well, as we know from the Bible, Jesus had provided sight to a lot of people in the New Testament. And to see it happen every day was emotional.
Yeah.
I had to walk out before it was over. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Wow, really?
Yeah. That was really amazing.
It sounds like there was power in knowing what happened 2,000 years ago still happens today.
Yeah.
That Jesus is still working today.
And every day.
Yeah, and every day. Yeah. Which
Not 3 times in 1,000 years.
So we were going over just before this, like how many times did he heal blind people? And we couldn't quite figure out, like there's 3 stories, but then many, multitudes he healed, but it wasn't just for them. It was now. And to see people literally raising their hands and saying, I was blind and now I see.
Yeah. So at that point I said to myself, if I'm going to be part of this, there's no reason why I should go home.
Wow. That's what did it. Which is ironic because in a way you had your own blindness and then you saw.
Yeah.
With them, it was a different kind of blindness, but you all of a sudden saw clearly why you were here.
Right. I'm part of about a 20-person team who keeps the ship sanitized, sterilized, and cleaned.
Yes.
Without that, the operations, the interactions with patients, the wards, the rehabilitation, the eye clinic, the dental clinic, the surgeries, all of those kinds of things will not take place if the ship is not sterile.
Absolutely.
That also gave me enthusiasm that although the job is not particularly what I did in the past, for sure.
Not glamorous.
No, certainly not.
Certainly not glamorous. That's what moved me immediately about your story, was hearing someone who is used to working as on the executive level, but was willing to do work, very hands-on work
that's very different
Yep.
and very physically exhausting, but
Yeah.
willing to do that for the sake of the surgeries that are happening, and knowing that they would. My dad always says, the moment it's not sterile, it stops. We can't keep going.
I felt I couldn't have a better job satisfaction.
Tell me more about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, I couldn't choose that any more than I'm getting it.
Yeah.
And I only have to do what I'm supposed to do.
Did it take those few weeks that your friend suggested? Is that what it took?
Yeah,
and
it
the
was a
blind
step by step. I
celebration?
also made myself available to some of these things, initiatives on the ship,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know about till
Yeah.
I read about it or somebody told me about it.
Yeah. And not to go into my dad's story, but it's amazing how many people have had the same experience. My dad's first experience with Mercy Ships was one where he felt completely out of his depth, thrown into a situation, no other doctors, no other support. He's like, this isn't what I signed up for, is exactly what he said. This isn't what I signed up for. But he just had to take it a few months at a time, a few more months, a few more years,
A few more decades.
few more decades. And now you see what happens when we give something a chance.
Yeah.
And you did that. You gave this place a chance. I'm curious how your time here has shaped your future. And as you leave this place, do you hope to stay connected with the ship? Do you have ideas of what your future looks like as you now prepare to leave the Global Mercy?
Yep. Well, I will continue to give back after I leave the ship. I've been invited to speak at a conference, a summit in Amsterdam. It's called the Be for Good Leaders in Europe. The second thing I've already been involved in is the Serious Fun Network started by Paul Newman 30 years ago in the US. I'm now a medical volunteer for the Dynamo Camp in Italy. So that's another initiative I'm dedicated to this year and hopefully in the future.
It's amazing to see what God's doing through you, what He will continue to do through you, and all of these exciting opportunities. And I'm really glad that our paths got to cross
Me too.
even just for a short time.
Well, I knew I was going to meet you because I'd seen you so many times
on the vlogs. I don't know, I'm still surprised over and over that these little videos I make actually end up getting to the right people and helping people get here. So
it really helped me a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, is there any final thoughts or reflections you want to share before we go from this place?
I'd really like to thank my family, my friends, and I guess all my fellow workers for their support and encouragement. And perhaps I'll be back.
Perhaps in the most unexpected times and places, right? Oh, thank you, Luigi.
Thank you.
It's been an honor to hear your story. I know it's just a piece, but it's such an important piece of your story.
Thank you for having the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you.